Everyone, welcome back to the next video. In this video I will show you how to create an Android plugin for integrating Firebase Cloud Firestore database for Godot game engine. So let's get started. So first you will have to create a Godot project. Then you will have to go to project, install Android build template. I have already done that. Then click on export, add Android. I have already done that as well. Check on this use Gradle build. From architecture, you can select any of this architecture depending on what Android device you are running. If you don't know, select all 4 of those. And at the bottom you might be seeing a fix import button. Just click on that as well. And then here you will have to set some unique name, which is a package name for your Godot game. So copy, you can set whatever you feel like. Just copy this. Okay, close. Then you will have to go to firebase.google.com, create a Firebase project. It is pretty simple. I have already done that. Then you will have to click on this plus button, select Android, and here you will have to select, enter your package name for your Godot game. Okay, I have already added, so I'll just add something too. Okay, and here you can add some name for your app. We don't need SHA-1. Okay. Next you will have to download this google services.json file. I have already downloaded it. We can't paste it inside an Android project because we will be creating an Android plugin, and like what they have mentioned over here won't work for us. So I will show you some another way of initializing Firebase inside our plugin. Next, click next. Then you will have to add this. So for this you will have to open Android Studio, create an Android project. It can be an empty views project or a Jetpack Compose project, doesn't really matter. Once you create a project, all you will have to do is you will have to go select your project, right click, new, module, select Android library. Here you can name whatever you like. So I have just named it as my library, and you can change the package name to whatever you feel like. Again, depends on you. And then click on finish. I have already created this. So once you create this library, you will first have to go to build.gradle.kts, and here you will just have to copy paste this whatever they have given and paste it over here. Once you have pasted, you will have to go to this, and here you don't need to copy this because this is already present. So next you will have to go to build.gradle.kts of your library and not of your app, and then you will have to copy this second line, com.google gms google services. So I have already copied this. Okay, next they are telling us to copy this platform bill of materials, so I have also copied that over here. Okay, now we also need the Godot Android dependency, so I have done that. And now you might be saying, okay, this looks a little different because I'm using Android Studio Iguana, and this is a new thing in Android Studio Iguana that you reference it over inside build.gradle, but the actual version number is written over here. So you will also need to add this. Now this version number will depend whatever is displayed over here for you. It might be higher by the time you're watching it. And for Godot, I'm using Godot 4.2.1 at the time of recording. If you are using some higher version, you should use that higher version over here as well. And you can find this exact version for Godot plugin on Maven Central. Next you also need to add this. So Godot module dependency, and for Firebase you need to add this. Once you do that, you also need, because we will be using Firebase Firestore, so we need to add this bit of dependency as well. And yeah, just click on next, then click on continue to console. Once this is done, just click on sync now, so it will download all the dependencies for you. Next you will have to create inside your library, create a file called Godot Android plugin in this Kotlin plus Java folder. It extends from Godot plugin. I have named it as my plugin. You can name whatever you want, but do remember this name because we will be using in lot other places as well. Next we have created a variable for Firebase Firestore, and this list I have created. I will let you know why I have created this list. Once the Godot setup is complete, we are initializing our Firebase. Now from where do I get this application ID, API key, and project ID? So if you remember, we downloaded this google services.json file, right? So for application ID, this is your application ID, and for API key, this is your API key, and what else? Project ID. So project ID is this one, second. So you can just copy paste it according to your file, and then call firebase app.initialize. And here we are, once it is initialized, we are initializing our Firestore as well. And here I have created one signal for sending data from Godot side to, from native Android side to Godot side. And I have created a lot of methods. So first one is adding a user. So here you can see that I have a hash map, and here I have just hard coded the data, but if you want, you can send the data from Godot side to Android as well. I will show you that as well. So first create a hash map, and this Firestore is a NoSQL database, so you can follow write any key, doesn't really matter. So here I have just added first, last and born. Ada, Lovelace and 1815 are the values. Here we are creating a collection called users. Like if it is not already present, it will create it. If it is already present, it won't do anything. And inside this collection of user, we are adding this particular user, and on success listener we get the document ID, and on failure listener I'm just sending it back to the Godot side, and on failure listener I'm just displaying a toast message. This is one method. So here I have created second method as well, and here you can see for this particular user I have added one more property called middle, even though it is not present over here. Again, it is a NoSQL database, so you can add any keys which you want to. And same, I am adding the user to our user collection similarly as previous, and sending it back to the Godot side. Next is called reading all users. So here what I am doing is that, so once all users have been added, while sending data from native Android side to Godot side, there are only few data types which are supported. So I have used a bit of hack. So here that's why I have defined a list of string, even though here the data is of hash map. What I'm doing is that I'm converting that hash map to a string. Like I couldn't find a better way, at least at this time of recording. So I'm again calling our users collection, over here, read for reading all user, getting our users collection, calling the get method, and on success listener we are looping over all the documents which are present, and I'm just sending the document ID as well as the document data, adding it to our list. Once they have been added, I'm sending it back to the Godot side in form of string. Then you will have to deserialize it and clean it up, okay, on Godot side. But on while displaying, I'm just displaying it in form of string, okay, on Godot side. I'll show you the output in a bit. And here failure, I'm just displaying a toast message. Now to read a specific user, again we can write our collection, and you can write a where clause. So I want only that user whose first name is equal to the name. So here you can see I'm sending the name from Godot side to Android side. So you can specify whatever your name. Instead of first, you can add last, middle, whatever keys you have inside your data. And I'm limiting it to only one user. Then I'm calling get, and on success listener, if the documents is not empty, I'm just getting the first document, and I'm sending that user's data back to Godot side. Similarly, for updating a specific user, again I'm finding it by name, like first name, limiting it to one, getting that specific user, and on success listener, if the data is not equal to empty, I'm just getting that document, and I'm updating the name to new Alan. Now again I have hard coded the name, but you can send it just like we are sending it over here. You can send the new name or new property from Godot side as well. And on success, I'm just sending it back to Godot side. On failure, I'm just displaying toast message. For deleting also same, again getting our collection, adding a where clause, limiting it to one. Now you don't have to limit it to one. If you have multiple users, you can update it multiple as well at the same time. I'm getting it, and on success listener, I'm just getting our documents, and here I'm just calling a reference.delete. On success listener, I'm emitting a signal, otherwise I'm just displaying a toast message. Alright, next you will have to go to Android manifest.xml, and here I have just copy pasted this from the Godot docs. Only thing which you have to remember is this thing should be your package name, and this thing should be your plugin name. So in case you forgot, you can go to this file. This is your plugin name, this is your package name. Next you will have to go to the project drop down, and inside your library folder you will have to create a folder called export scripts template. Inside that, create a file called export_plugin.jd. Now I have just copy pasted this from the Godot documentation itself. The only thing which you have to remember is this should be your plugin name, and you also need to add an extra method of get Android dependency, because we are adding extra bit of dependency inside our build.gradle file, right? So the Firebase bomb dependency and cloud Firestore as well. Now for Firestore, if you remember, inside build.gradle we didn't add any version. because the BOM is smart enough to identify, depending on which BOM version you are using, it pulls in the specific Firestore version. But while in export plugin.jd you have to specify the version as well. So to do that, you can go to this URL, and here you can choose whatever you want, but if you are using the latest version, you can just easily find it. So this is the current version, and for that the Firestore version is this 24.level.0. if you are using some older version, you can use this as well, and you might find that as well. So here you can see I have used the same version over here. Next, you will have to create a file called plugin.cfg. again I have copy pasted it from docs. Only this name, this should be your plugin name. Description, author, change whatever you feel like. Next, you will have to open your terminal. You will have to cd to your Android project. Once you cd to your Android project, you will have to run this command, not to your Android library, okay, to your Android project, and just run this command. So once you run this command, it will do generate AR files for you. So you can just go to your Android project, go to your library, build, outputs, AR file, and here you should see two AR files, one debug and one release. I have already cut pasted those files to my Godot project. So next, inside Godot, what you will have to do is you will have to create a folder called add-ons. Inside that, create a folder with your plugin name. Inside that, create a folder called bin, and inside bin create two folders, debug and release. Now you will have to copy the debug AR file to the debug folder, release AR file to the release folder, but you will have to change the name a little. So I'll just show you that name, how you have to change it. So here as you can see, the name should be your plugin name dash debug.ar. Similarly for release as well, your plugin name dash release.ar. Once that is done, we created these two files as well, right? Plugin.cfg and export plugin.jd. You also have to copy these two files from your Android plugin to your plugin folder inside Godot project. Once you do that, you can just go to project settings, go to plugins. You have to check this checkbox. Once that is done, here inside UI I have just taken a VBox container with all these buttons and a label, okay, and I have attached one script to it, and here you can see this should be your plugin name, and inside onReady we are just initializing our signal as well as connecting, initializing our plugin as well as connecting our signal as well. And once this signal is called, this method gets called. Here we are just updating our label. I will show you the output in a bit. And here you can see I have just added click press listener for all our buttons, and here I am just calling the add first user, add second user, all the method which we have defined it on the native Android plugin side. Okay, next, like if you are doing this for the very first time, you might have to go to editor settings, add your debug key as well as Android SDK path. And for Mac OS, the debug key is usually in this location. I'm not sure about Android. Also, you might have to check this Wi-Fi for remote debugging if you want to run your application directly on your Android device from your Godot editor. So yeah, now what we'll have to do is we will have to create Firestore, right? So for that, I'll just show you this video because I have already created Firestore and you might get confused. So here inside you will have to go to the build tab, click on Firestore database. Next you will have to just click on get started, sorry, create database, I think. Yeah, create database, click on this create database, and it will ask you to select one region or location. Now select this location carefully because you won't be able to change the location again. So choose whatever makes sense to your application. Now here you will see two options: start in production mode, start in test mode. Start in production mode means that you can only access Firestore if you have signed in with one of the sign-in providers which Firebase provides. Like I have already covered email and password authentication, right? So Firebase internally knows that, okay, if you click start in production mode and click create, then it will automatically check whether you are signed in with any of the sign-in providers like email, password, Google sign-in, Facebook from Firebase. If you are signed in with any of this option, then only you will be able to read write data to Cloud Firestore. But if you don't want to do that, you can just select start in test mode. So I have selected that, but typically it's a bad idea to select start in test mode, but for debugging it's fine. And here in start in test mode you can see that in rules section they are allowing us to write for a specific date. Okay, so here for me it is 2024 comma 5 comma 2, but you can change this date as well. So here I will show you. You can go to the rules section, and if you want you can just change the year to 2025 2026 and just click on develop and test. Okay, and just publish the changes. So here you can change the date if you want to more time for debugging. Yeah, so that's it. Next I'll show you guys the output as well. So here you can see my collection is Firestore collection is empty. I'll first click on add first user, then I'll just quickly refresh this console. Once this is done, you should be able to see the first user. Here you can see the first user has been created. Secondly, I'll just click on add second user button as well. Once that is done, I'll just again go to, and here you can see second user was also created. Next I will try to read all users, and here you can see inside the text I'm able to read all the users. Again it is in form of string, so you will have to clean up. Next I will click on read specific user, and here you can see I'm able to get the data only of Alan. Update specific user, I'm changing the name to new Alan. Here you can see the name has been changed. And next was deleting a specific user. I think I was deleting Ada, I guess. Yeah, so yes, you can see that got deleted. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.